Yoga Narasimhan was there. So with that note, today, Gautam Shivoham, we had a question that was asked today. We all have 5 senses. Which sense is the most important? Anybody would like to try? We all have 5 senses. Which sense is the most important?
Kumar
Yes,
Swami here.
yes, sir. Bolo, sir.
Sir, Kumar Swami here. Shivoham.
Yes, sir. Shivoham, sir. Welcome. Bolo, sir.
Sarvendriyanam Nayanam Pradhanam.
Means?
So, पूरा 5 में जो ऑलरेडी 5 सेंसेस है अपने उसमें आंख है ना बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है क्यों बोले तो in enlightened path to move, so we have to read the scripture, so we have to locate the path and all. So the eyes are more important. Though all the senses are made up of Prakriti, but even Atma is above the senses also. Up to some extent, the eyes will guide to move in the path of enlightenment.
Good.
That is my opinion.
No, correct. Good thought. So anybody else? We have
Sir, myself, Sanjay Das.
Sanjay Das, yes, sir.
Shivoham Guruji.
Shivoham, sir.
Sir, according to my understanding, all the 5 senses are very, very important.
Okay.
Because everything depends on, all have different functions, without which it is not possible. Secondly, what about the blind? If the eyes are also important, how they will not attend at enlightenment? That also was going in my mind. Or the deaf people.
Good, sir. You were missing yesterday, sir. We missed you.
Oh, sorry, sir. My father-in-law is very much unwell. Just
Okay.
I came from the hospital.
Okay.
He's 87 and suffering. That's why I came from the hospital, sir.
We observed your absence. Yes, that's
Sorry,
all.
sir. Sorry,
Shivam.
Guruji. Shivam, Guruji.
Shivam. Next, please.
Namaste, Master. Veena here.
Yes, Veena. Shivoham, bolo.
Mostly eyes, Master. Eyes. Our eyes.
Okay. So, agreed. Your point is noted. Anybody, one more chance before we move on?
Sir, can I answer?
Sudeep, yes, Sudeep Bhargava.
Yes, sir. Sir, I believe that the touch sense is the most important one, because as per my understanding and experience, I think that is the most difficult sense organ to be controlled. I can shut my eyes, I can even nose, I can to an extent I can control. Ears I can easily control, I can put the earplugs. Tongue also I can control, but skin is something which I cannot control. So I think that gives it more importance, because skin or the touch sensation, it's a very, I mean, it can take you to the wrong path also. So I believe from that point of view, maybe touch is the most important one.
Okay. Good. Very interesting. We are trying to get different perspectives. So anybody else? Can I close?
Yes. हाँ सर. शिवम देवकर से. दत्ता.
Yes, sir. बोलो.
सर, eyes, आंखें हैं, वो सबसे important है, I think.
Yeah.
When we are meditating, when we open the eyes, our intention goes outside. Otherwise, we can in a meditative state.
So your opinion is eyes only.
Yes.
Pranam Guruji. Pranam Guruji. Shivoham.
Shivoham, Kiran, bolo.
I think coordination of 5 senses is very important. All are important, I think.
I think that is view of Sanjay Das, is it? I think, yeah, somebody else also suggested. Gautam is saying tongue. But anybody else? I see many more people wanting to give opinion. Even Bridget. Did Bridget, you raise your hand?
Yes.
Yes, Bridget, tell me.
Hello. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
You can look, I have a write you on your phone what I'm thinking about it.
Okay, I will read. You're written already in the phone.
Yeah.
So Bridget is giving a comment on the phone. Shivoham, I believe the 5 seeds are equal, 5 senses. They all make us trigger desires. What about the sensory memory? It accumulates the pleasant memories of the senses. Second is the problem to appreciate certain things more. As you get older, you become less passionate about everything. Is that normal? Does help the path to enlightenment. So you're given a philosophical thought that I believe the 5, you mean seeds or you mean senses, right? The 5 senses are equal and they make us trigger desires. Good point. And the sensory memory. And what Bridget is saying, that all the senses, as we grow old, the senses get a little dull, and then they slow. The eyes go bad, and the hearing goes bad. So, how does this affect enlightenment? Good question, Bridget. We will consider this during the course of the talk. Anybody else? Thank you. Anybody else? So when I got this question and I made an introspection, somebody asked me this question: which is the most important sense? And the answer I got was a little different. Somebody asked me how many senses we have. I said, he said, we have 5 senses. I said, okay. Yeah, but which is the most important sense? My answer I gave him was the 6th sense. The 6th sense. Do you know what is the 6th sense? The 6th sense is consciousness. The 6th sense is above these 5 senses. So we should not think that we only have 5 senses. What is a sense? A sense is something that you can sense. Right? You can see, you can hear, you can smell, you can taste, and you can touch. But don't you agree that with the consciousness you can witness? Sudeep, you can or you can't? There is a 6th sense. Sudeep is deeply thinking something, so we'll wait for it.
I was just thinking, sir, consciousness is what makes the sense organs work. So we can look at that way. That is the energy behind the sense organs. So it's very important.
Agreed. But it is also a sense. Do you know, from the consciousness, which is known as the 6th sense, comes super consciousness, comes the ability which is known as creativity, hunches, telepathy, a 6th sense by itself. So you are able, through the 6th sense, to talk to God. The 6th sense is the Atmic sense. It's a sense of consciousness. So why I made this a question for today, we have 50, 60 seekers of enlightenment coming every day. And you must contemplate on this. And if there's a disagreement, then you must tell me, no, I don't agree with you. We like some disagreements, not for the sake of, just for the fun of having disagreement, but we like to have some discussions where somebody says, no, I don't get this point clear. I need to understand. I don't agree with this point of view. And somebody else gives a different point of view. And we have to consider that point of view, because this answer comes to me from nowhere. So therefore, my dear friends, before I open it to ask a question answer session, I'm leaving you with a thought. We have 5 senses, but the most important sense, of course, eyes are important. Of course, all the 5 senses are important. Of course, skin is important. You all are right. Everybody is right in their own way. But think about it. Think about the 6th sense, where your 5 senses are quiet. You leave the 5 senses and you activate the sense of consciousness, which is known also as a super consciousness. Okay, over to you. Questions, Administrator?
Jyotri.
Jyotri is asking us questions. The first question from Jyotri is how to revive after slipping from the state of moksha. Jyotri, you cannot slip from the state of moksha, because moksha happens only at death. And the moment there is moksha, it is over. But you can slip in the state of Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti is the state of moksha when alive, when you are still not dead and liberated. When you become a liberated soul, when you become a Sthit Pragya, when you become a Jivan Mukta, it means you are still in the human form. You still have a body and mind, but you have attained enlightenment. And then what you are saying, you slip. How to revive after you slip from the state of you mean moksha, I'm saying mukti. This is how you revive. The moment you slip, and every enlightened being can slip, the moment you slip, the realized soul instantly realizes. Instantly, in a matter of seconds. Seconds, the person realizes that I have slipped. And the person is just like a plane, is going to go down. and before the plane crashes, the pilot takes it up again. So that is the analogy, that you don't let the plane of your life, the aeroplane, the flight crash. The moment you see it going dip down, you take it back up. So that is the way, Jyotri, is your first question. Your second question. I saw today a dream in which I met a person whom I have not met from last 5 months. The same face, same voice, same feeling I felt in dream. It's really hard to believe that it was a dream. Maybe my mind has played another trick yet. How can I feel the same feeling in my dream as well as I believe dream is not a dream? It's real. Is it true? Today I saw a dream in which I met a person whom I have not met for 5 months. The same face, same voice I felt in dream. So what's the problem? Hard to believe it was a dream. So I really, that in a dream you can see anybody, you can see anything. So I'm not getting your point. I feel that same feeling in my dream as well as I believe dream is not a dream, it's real. So dream is a dream, but even life is a dream. That's what we talk in spirituality. But Jyotri, I am not getting what you are trying. I'm asking administrator to read also. I don't know what you are trying to explain. So I'm going to your third question. What are the things we need to control related to the 5 senses? In the Bhagavad Gita, the example is very good, right? They say, who was speaking about it yesterday? That the 5, somebody, I met a group that asked me this question. The 5 senses are like the 5 horses of the chariot. The chariot is the body. The 5 senses are the 5 horses. In the Bhagavad Gita, they says you have to have a lagam. The lagam is the mind. And then you need a sarthi. The sarthi is the buddhi, the intellect. So how do you control the 5 senses? Through the mind and through the intellect. The intellect controls the mind because the senses are all connected to the mind. For example, if you remove the eyes and keep them on the table, can they see? No, the eyes are wired. The eyes are wired to the brain, which is nothing but the hardware of the mind. And so these 5 senses, they have to be controlled by the mind. The mind has to be controlled by the intellect. Then only we will have a control of this chariot, the Rath, which Krishna calls the human body. So if Jyoti, the second question, you have any doubt, you have to ask us again. Next question, administrator. Bridget, as you get older, you become less passionate. Does help. So yes, Bridget, as you get older, when your senses are calmer, there is a chance for you to become more spiritual because your desires can be less. But what about, Bridget, what about that playboy man who at 90 years old got married to his, 7th wife and 18-year-old girl? You know the Playboy, the Playboy magazine. I believe he was 90 years old and he got married to a girl of 18 years old.
Yes.
So there
I
are
don't think so. It's
Huh?
good choice. I don't think so. It's good choice
Okay.
for the girl.
But the problem is that a lust and the sensual gratification sometimes doesn't get over with age. What I'm trying to tell you, sometimes it can. It all depends on how you tame your senses. It all depends on if you can tame your senses, right? Then you're the master. But if the senses can make you a prisoner, then you are the slave. Even though the age matters, sometimes even age, I know people of 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, they are still so passionate. They have so much passion, so much desire, and they don't have any clue on spirituality. They don't realize, they say, what is spirituality? Why should we be spiritual? So that's why the new book which I've started writing, which I spoke on Friday, How to Live a Spiritual Life in a Material World. The book is coming out very well, so I hope we will have another talk about it. Jyotri has got a clarification. What is the question?
Is dream real or awakened state?
Is dream real?
Or awakened state?
Okay. Is a dream real or awakened state? I know Jyotri is going to some trip of some direction, but let us try to understand, explain the whole thing. So there's a state of apprehension. The state of apprehension is this waking state where you can see, you have physical consciousness and mental consciousness. Then there's a state of the dream state, which is known as swapna. The waking state is jagrat. The dream state is swapna, where the body is asleep, but the mind is dreaming. Then there is the third, this state is a state of misapprehension. Then there's a state of non-apprehension. When the body is asleep, the mind is asleep, you have deep sound sleep. And this is called the state of sushupti. Now, in reality, all these three states are dream. Even the waking state is like a dream, but we don't realize it. Only at death we wake up. At death we realize, oh, it was just a dream. It's over. Everything is over. So the dream state is a state of awakening of the mind and sleeping of the body. But the real awakening is what they call spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening is when you are awakened the divine spirit. What we spoke about the sixth sense, we spoke about the consciousness. Now you see it's all coming together. When you awaken the spirit, then you experience the sixth sense. You go beyond the five senses. And that is the real awakening that is beyond the dream state. Next question.
Rashmi.
The next question from Rashmi. During the course of time attending AiR, I really understood why we should identify the true purpose of life. But how and where to do the talash? From where should I start to find the bliss? As you said, how to reach to that silence that gives happiness? So very good question. Where to start my talash? Where to start my spiritual journey? Okay, it's good to come for AiR. We ask questions, so many blah, 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 blah. And you say you must start a talash. But where? But how? The first question to ask is, who am I? The first question is to ask, am I the body? This body will die. Who am I? The body came later. I came before the body. I was just a dot. I was just a dot. Zygote. The body came later. So the question is this, right? Who am I? So Rashmi, the way to start a talash is basically two important questions. Who am I? And why am I here? Many people, they think, oh, we are here to have fun. We are here to be happy. We are here to make others happy. Oh, everybody wants to be happy. Who in this world doesn't want to be happy? But what is the purpose of life? What, are you just here just to be happy? No. Of course, everybody wants to be happy, but there's a purpose. We have to discover that purpose. Many people don't want to. Many people say, oh, no. I want khao, pio, jio. Have you heard this? Have you heard this people telling? Khao, pio, jio, maja karo. They say, life is short, enjoy. Make life a celebration, dance, come on. Have you seen people on New Year's Eve, how they're dancing? Drinking, yeah, happy New Year. Then what happened? Next morning, hangover. Next morning, they're sleeping till 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And then they wake up with a headache. बहुत सर दर्द है यार, बहुत noise था, बहुत noise. So gala, throat is gone. Because you're all shouting and screaming. So my dear friends, these are called momentary pleasure. Rashmi, you want to reach that state of bliss which has no suffering. Yesterday we spoke about the way to overcome the triple suffering of body, mind and ego. Only yesterday we talked of it. Our goal of life is to experience fulfillment. Is that state, Lozenge, is a state of reaching that state of eternal bliss without any suffering. And that is possible. How is that possible? By realizing I am not the body, not the mind, not the ego. This is your start of your talash. This is the talash that takes you to the realization of to enlightenment. So next question is from
Social media, Raghu.
Sudeep, I saw.
Sudeep, sorry.
Sudeep Bhargava. First, we have got live question before we have a social media question. Sudeep Bhargava,
Shivam, sir.
Shivoham.
So whatever you said about consciousness in the beginning, that's perfectly fine. I mean,
No
there's no
sugar.
doubt about that.
Yeah,
My only small point here, where I would need a clarification, is why should we call that as a sixth sense? Because normally, I'm not talking about this group, but normally people consider the sixth sense to be the intuition kind of thing. Now that something came in my mind, it told me that an accident is going to take place, and it actually takes place. They'll say, "Ah, that was my sixth sense that told me something is going to get wrong."
Where does the intuition come from?
So now that is my question. Is that intuition really a message coming from God or message coming from mind? Now that's a dicey thing. So
Message coming from your consciousness. Sixth sense is real. Sixth sense is not artificial.
how
your
do we
eyes
make
real?
out that difference of whether it's
You know,
because that
your
question
eyes
has been discussed earlier also.
Your eyes are real, right? Your nose is real, right?
Yes.
Why do they call it the sixth sense?
No,
They call it the sixth sense because it is real. You know what is? Do you know what is sixth sense?
no normally. That's what I'm saying, sir. Normally people attach with the intuition.
What is intuition?
Intuition, I mean, I just think something is going to happen, and if it happens, then you say that is sixth sense. Although at times I think something may happen, but it doesn't happen.
So
it's only when it happens that you say that it was my intuition. I knew that this is going to happen. Some kind of there's a word prenomination or something similar word.
So the point, Sudeep, is this: the sixth sense is the sense of the divine energy within. It is twinning between one soul and another soul, which is a Jeev Atma. The souls by themselves don't communicate, right? But an energy in you and the energy in me, when it is encapsulated, when the soul is encapsulated in you and me, in the sense that it is what giving life to you, the soul can trigger super consciousness. As it gives consciousness to the five senses, it can give the sixth sense, which is coming from the divine aspect of our existence. How do you, okay, let me ask you a simple question. How do you realize God? How do you get enlightened?
I would say that maybe with the silence, I can shut down my senses through silence, and then I can experience consciousness.
I am inspired to tell you that you get enlightenment from the sixth sense.
No, sir, I have absolutely nothing. What you're saying is absolutely right. The only point.
So I don't know. I'm just telling you, it came as a fresh.
No, I
out
know.
Of the oven.
I know how you give the answers. I know that. I know that. My only point is. Yeah,
no.
Please tell me.
I have just got the inspiration now that what is this? What is the sixth sense? It is that consciousness within. It is that telepathy. It is that power of enlightenment. It is that realization. It is that. You know what a sixth sense known as? It is known as creativity. It is called hunches. You're able to have a hunch.
That is exactly, sir. This hunches is this different from consciousness? Because hunches can be wrong also, na? Yeah, I have a sixth senses telling me that I may fall down. I may not fall down. So it should always be right if it is consciousness. So my only point is, should I say consciousness as the sixth sense? Because it is normally a term which is misinterpreted also.
So Sudeep, have you not realized how to know the voice of the consciousness and voice of the mind? Have you not realized
I agree with you. 100%.
When do we know the voice of the mind and voice of the consciousness?
For me, it will be when I'm silent. That is a voice coming from God.
No, when the mind is completely
silent.
When the mind is still. Then what?
Still or silent? Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Then what is the voice coming?
Then it is a voice of God or voice of consciousness.
That is also the sixth sense, not the mind. Then those hunches, if the hunch is coming from the mind, it is a rascal.
Correct.
When the hunch is not coming from the mind, now I got the hunch just now, that the sixth sense can cause enlightenment. Is it my mind? Is it my mind telling? Am I thinking and telling you that?
No. I'm sure it's going to be the voice of God.
No. Don't. It is coming from the depth of the consciousness. Don't use terminology. People say, "Oh, voice of God." Somebody on this ask will be thinking, "Is it Shiva or Krishna?" No, don't.
No. I understand that. Yeah.
So, Sudeep, when you are in that deep state of consciousness, that deep state of consciousness becomes a sense. The highest sense. And that is the question we're answering today. More
Correct.
than eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin, which can have limited senses, the consciousness is an unlimited sense. It is a sense of the divine. It is a divine sense. And
100%, sir.
I am inspired to believe today that it is that consciousness which is what gives you enlightenment, which is what gives you liberation from these five senses and the mind.
True. Right,
So
sir.
you're
Okay.
little bit calm, or you're still not
No,
clear?
no. I was calm, sir. My only point was because sixth sense is a term which is normally misinterpreted.
Not misinterpreted.
That was my only
misused.
thing.
No, not misinterpreted.
Or confused. Okay. Yes.
People don't understand. People think sixth sense is something like Lord Shiva's third eye.
Right.
So when you say Lord Shiva's third eye, then what is that, Sudeep? What is Lord Shiva's third eye?
Correct.
Next question, please. Thank you. Ashok Nichani.
Shivam,
Ashok.
sir.
Shivam, Ashok.
You can read it out, sir.
Read it out. Okay, as you prefer. Ashok Nichani. Some people say they remember their last birth. Is that possible? So, Ashok, I don't know. There are 2 or 3 cases. One case is known as is a very world famous case of Shanti Devi. And one more case is a case of a Japanese pilot, I think is John or Joseph or something, who was a small boy, and he's born, and he says, I was a pilot. And he goes and shows where exactly he was shot dead in the war in Japan. And Shanti Devi is a case where she says she was born, I think in Delhi, and her previous husband was in Lucknow or UP or something, Lucknow, Indore. She went there and she identified her past husband and father-in-law and brother-in-law whom she never met before. Now, Ashok, now this is the way I interpret it, and pay attention, those of you who want to understand this, please. It's a very interesting question, so please pay attention, all those who want to understand this. And correct me if I'm wrong. Dattatreya Kumar Swami, please correct me if I'm wrong. What is reborn? What is reborn is not the body. What is reborn is the mind and the ego, me, and the full form is mind, intellect, memory, and ego. Technically, if the mind, intellect, memory, and ego is reborn, Ashok Nichani, then there are chances that if that memory is not reset, if it is not reset, then it can remember. Now, Ashok Nichani, suppose you take a mobile phone and you put factory reset. What are the chances? Everything in the phone should get deleted.
Okay.
But suppose the factory reset doesn't work and you switch on the phone and some data is still there. Possible or not possible? Not always possible. But sometimes if the reset does not happen. So, it is not something that we can easily believe. But
Okay.
it's not something that we can say is impossible. It is neither, according to me, it is neither impossible, nor is it something that we should believe. So I think it is for us to contemplate. But Ashok Nichani, can I ask you another question?
Yes, sir.
Why did you ask this question?
Because I heard people talking regarding this subject.
Because what happens, these questions are created by the mind to stop us from enlightenment.
Okay.
So it is just to confuse us and to take our attention away. For example, I'll give you one more question which people ask. They talk about NDE, near-death experience. Who was it that sent me a question on Anita Murjani? Was it one of you who sent me? And spoke so much about near-death experience. There's a lady in Hong Kong, and she says how I really died and I had cancer, and then I went on the other side and I saw my parents and I saw my brother. How could you see? Because people are all dead. How could you meet? Who have you met? There's no body. So lot of these things, some people talk of the astral body. Some people talk of it's called an etheric double. I don't know, etheric double suna? Etheric double means हितकारी जी जैसे और एक हितकारी है, 2 है. एक physical form है और एक shadow है. Now, how are we supposed to believe this? So I questioned my guru. I had a fight with my guru. I had an argument with my guru. And that's when my guru folded his hands. He said, Namaskaram, and please let us not discuss this because it is not a relevant question, whether there is an astral body or not. And then he told me, don't believe in it. And so there are a lot of things, as I said, the answer, Ashok, we don't know. Whether the memory is capable of having of the last janmas, last lives. Normally, Ashok, 99.9999% not possible. Ashok, why
Yes,
am I
sir.
saying? I'm asking you next question. Why am I saying 99.9999% not possible? Why am I saying? Who is the enlightened person in this group who will give the answer? Who is the enlightened person who will give the answer? Today's Guruji of mine. Who is the Guruji of today? Who is going to give the answer?
Because the
Why
mind
is it
gets reset.
99.999% not possible to remember your last birth, you have the memory? Why I'm asking the question?
Because at rebirth, the mind gets reset.
Yeah, true. That I already told you. But why? What is the proof? In our discussion here, we only accept the truth. And if I am not telling the truth, don't accept it. So now I am going to give you a reason why 99.9999% it is not possible to remember previous life. Who's trying to give a speaking? Is it Sanjay Das?
Sir, I'm
Or
Karthik.
Karthik?
Yeah.
Yes, Karthik.
Because if we remember past memories, we will again come back to suffering. Those means whatever we have wrong we done in the past life.
That's okay. But what is the? I want to give Ashok Nichani a proof. I want to give Ashok Nichani an answer where I'm saying 99.99999% you cannot have the memory of the previous birth because some people
Because
are saying, yes.
Because means God has shut down our that subconscious mind in.
Okay, let me give the answer. Today I don't have a Guruji coming, so let me give the answer. The answer, Ashok Nichani, is this. Please pay attention. I am saying that we cannot carry the memory of the past birth because if we could carry, then all of us should know our past birth. Agree? All of you agree or don't agree? If we
Agreed,
can
sir.
carry, all of us should know the past birth. None of us knows. None of us knows. Therefore, we should realize that it is not possible. If there's a freak case, 1 out of billions, that is a different matter. Last question, Administrator. Do we have anybody?
Thank you, sir. Ji.
Last question for today. Ajit Ek Danda.
शिवम सर.
Shivam Ajit Ek.
हाँ जी. सर आपने बताया कि गॉड इज डिवाइन एनर्जी.
Yes.
सर एनर्जी क्या है कि जैसे कि हम कुछ विचार करते हैं, थॉट्स हैं, तो उसे इमेजेस में देखते हैं. तो एनर्जी को कैसे हम देखें, समझे कि क्या कुछ उसका इमेज है, क्या है? आप कुछ एक्सप्लेन करें सर इसके बारे में.
Ajit Ek. Energy is power. Energy is a force. You must Google, it's very interesting. You try to Google, they will tell you energy is made up of electrons and neutrons, and they will give you something. But then later they will tell you it is not the electrons and the neutrons, but the force that makes the electrons and the neutrons move. So for you to understand electricity, you know the meaning of electricity in your house?
Yes, sir.
You'll say, yes, I know. You know the electricity from the sun, solar power? You know it. You know the electricity from the wind. The wind has got windmills. They move and they create electricity. You know it. You know electricity from the waterfalls. They fall on turbines and they move and they create energy.
Electricity, yes.
So electricity is an energy. Now let me explain to you, where does the wind come from? The sun that glows, the wind that blows, the water that flows, is it not energy? हवा, आपको हवा लग रही है, हवा तूफान लग रही है. तूफान में शक्ति है कि शक्ति नहीं है?
हाँ जी सर।
आपका दिल धड़कता है, कोई बैटरी है? कोई बैटरी आपके अंदर, ड्यूरासेल है आपके अंदर? जैसे शक्ति ना, जैसे शक्ति।
हाँ जी सर।
जब आदमी मरता है तो शक्ति है या निकल जाती शक्ति?
निकल जाती शक्ति।
हाँ, that energy, Ajitek, is that power of life. The power of life which gives birth, the power of life which departs at death. It is a power available in every molecule of matter as per the scientific theory of wave-particle duality.
सर इसका
Science,
कुछ
please Google. It is called quantum physics. Please Google. Scientists have discovered that. Have you heard of the experiment of Higgs boson?
Yes,
in
sir.
Geneva? It's called the God particle. Have you heard that experiment?
Yes, yes.
This is all to do with energy in the smallest particle of matter, smaller than atoms and molecules and electrons and neutrons and protons. The smallest particle is called a quark, Q-U-A-R-K, quark. When scientists were examining a quark under a microscope, the quark disappeared. And then they came out with a theory which is known as the law of thermodynamics. We learned in school that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to another. आपने स्कूल में ये पढ़ा हो, सुना होगा?
हाँ जी सर, पर याद नहीं था, आपने बताया।
हाँ, तो मुझे भी याद नहीं, आपने मुझे याद दिलाया। तो the point is, energy cannot be created or destroyed. Can you create energy? You cannot create energy. You can only use coal to create thermal energy. You can create steam energy by using the existing resources. A man cannot create energy from nothing. So the law of thermodynamics says energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but can be transformed from one form to another. The law of Ask Air is that I have to shut down before the clock strikes 8:40. And Ajitek, you have come with a very interesting discussion, but can you please bring it back tomorrow? That will make sure that you are present tomorrow and we have an interesting discussion on energy. And what is energy? Ajitek is asking a dynamic question, my dear friends. We say energy is divine, energy is God. Ajitek is saying, Salah, energy kya hai? What is energy? Just like in the television serials, they say, break ke baad. With folded hands, I bow down to you and see you tomorrow.